just a moment. This is hosted by the UF IFAS Center for Public Issues Education in Agriculture and Natural Resources, or the PI Center for short. I'm Ricky Telg. I'm the director of the PI Center, and it is my pleasure to say hello to all of you out there in Zoom land, and also to introduce our speakers and presenters for today. We have with us Lisa Lundy. She's a professor of agricultural communication here at the University of Florida. Christina Morton is the director of communications for the Florida Fruit and Vegetable Association. She also serves on the National Board of Directors for the Public Relations Society of America, or PRSA. You'll hear that acronym several times today, I'm sure. Lorelei Johnson has more than 2 decades of experience in corporate communications, most recently serving as the Director of Field Communications for Spectrum. And then Ashley Blazewith is the Director of Media Relations for Brightline, America's only modern, eco-friendly intercity passenger rail service. And together, Lorelei and Ashley serve as the accreditation co-chairs for the PRSA Orlando chapter. And as you can see on the slide, today's topic is accreditation in public relations, or APR, what it is, why it matters in agriculture and natural resources. So we're very, again, happy that you're here today. I do want to take one quick moment before I turn it over to Lisa to kind of explain what we do in the PI Center, because I think that many of you who are joining us today may not know who we are as an organization here at the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, or IFAS. And some of what we do may be of interest to you moving forward, especially in the agriculture and natural resources field. So really briefly, we in the PI Center examine how people think about, form, and act on opinions regarding complex agricultural and natural resources issues. So we do that research and then turn it into actionable items and activities and deliverables, ranging from fact sheets to webinars like even today, podcast, you name it. So our goal here is not necessarily to tell people what to think, but to give them science-based information about agriculture, natural resource issues here in the state of Florida and beyond, so that they will be better able to make informed decisions. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and say thank you for being here again. I'm going to stop talking in just a second and turn it over to Lisa Lundy, who will be kind of facilitating the discussion today. Lisa?
Hi, thank you all for joining us. I'm very excited for today and what we're going to do. I've had students and former students and colleagues ask me about accreditation many times over the years in the context of agriculture and natural resources. And so I think this is going to be the beginning of a lot of people uh, beginning that journey. And so I'm really excited for you. In preparation for today, I looked back to see when I originally earned accreditation, and it was 2007. So I am almost 20 years in, and I can say that accreditation has been a really big part of my professional journey. Some of the topics that you'll hear about today, particularly regarding the code of ethics that PRSA has have really been guideposts for me throughout my professional journey. So I'm excited for you all to hear what accreditation looks like and for us to share a little bit about our experiences. So I'll turn it over to our presenters. Thank you so much.
All right. Can you guys see my screen okay? Give me a thumbs up. All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you all very much for being here. We're very excited. As my colleagues referred, I'm Ashley Blazewitz. I'm based here in Orlando. I don't know where everybody else is across the board, but we're very excited to share some information with you. I'm here with my colleague Lorelei Johnson. Lorelei, very
Hi,
good.
I'm Lorelei Johnson, as Ashley mentioned, and happy to be here today. And I just want to say wonderful planning to Dr. Tug and Dr. Lundy and to Christina as well. This is National APR Month, so we are more than excited to join you and to talk about this process because it's one of our favorite things to do. So thank you.
Very good. And we would love to make this an interactive discussion. So you guys, please, if you're able to come off mute, ask questions, raise your hand, put questions in the chat. We would love to just interact all along the way throughout this presentation. So please, by all means, chime in if you have a question. So Let's start off with maybe a question to you all. How many of you have heard of PRSA in the past? Does that acronym ring a bell? Are you guys familiar? Okay, I see some yeses, I see some nos. So maybe just a real quick, a thumbs up, nice. A quick introduction. You're going to hear that acronym a lot. PRSA is the Public Relations Society of America. It's a national organization that leads the charge for all things public relations and strategic communication. So if you are in that space professionally or you're studying in that space, that is definitely an organization, PRSA, to look into no matter where you are in the country, because there's different chapters all across the country. So that's something to consider. All right, Lorelai, take it away.
Thank you. So what is APR? I'm looking for the next slide. Okay, understanding APR. Thank you, Ashley. What is APR? APR is the Accreditation in Public Relations. It's a two-part voluntary credentialing program for communication professionals. It is designed to demonstrate your knowledge of the critical advanced PR and communication skills that deliver value in organizations large and small. It is administered through PRSA, the Public Relations Society of America. So just to share, my journey started when I was on the nonprofit side. I have been in corporate communications the last couple of decades, but one of the things that I wanted to do was explore this as part of my planning. So whether you're working for a nonprofit, whether you're working for a corporation or a company or running your own business, the APR is an option for you. So the purpose of the APR credential, it signifies mastery in strategic communications, ethics and leadership within public relations. To give you an overview of the process, it includes a readiness review, which is a panel presentation, as well as a computer-based exam, testing your skills and your knowledge. And then as far as once you enter the APR process as a candidate, expectations are to prepare strategically, applying knowledge and critical thinking beyond memorization. Although you'll hear a lot of people in the process use flashcards and all of the different things that you need to get familiar with the terms. But at the end of the day, it's really applying your skills and your critical thinking to complete the process. So what is your why? I kind of touched on it a little bit with my background in corporate comms and then before that in nonprofit. But your why of pursuing the APR is important. So a lot of different professionals will tell you things, but we did make a quick list for you. And I was going to open it up for anyone to jump in if they wanted to on why they chose to pursue their APR, if they are an APR. Looking at you, Christina, maybe, and if there's anybody else, Dr. Lundy.
Yeah. I mean, it's what you're seeing on this list, right? It was a way for me to kind of test what I already knew, but just reset my thinking in a more strategic and intentional way, and really to set an example as well that I've fully committed to this profession. You know, it was a way to challenge myself, to differentiate myself. I'm a big believer in leading by example. And when I sat through one of those first study sessions, which is one of the great benefits that the PRSA Orlando chapter provides to professionals in the region, and heard from a past president of the chapter for why he pursued that. And his reason was very simple. It was he was slated to be the next president of the chapter. And how could he sit at that level within our organization and not hold a credential that we really make out to be the gold standard in our profession? And so that really sat with me, and of course had me thinking, not just that year, but the year after, that I would decide to really move through the process. So all those reasons and more, but setting example as a leader within the industry and the profession was really important.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Ashley,
I would say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dr. Lundy.
I was just going to say, I think for me as someone teaching people who are going to go right into the profession, I felt like I could show them my credentials on the academic side of my graduate studies and all that, but I wanted to be able to demonstrate connection to the industry to the profession as well. And accreditation really gave me the best avenue I could find for that.
Great.
That's great. My why is I was working for an agency at the time. This was feels like many moons ago now, but working for an agency and felt like from all the experience that I had gained, I was ready. And I've been a lifelong learner and wanting to just continue that growth and that learning. So for me, it was personal validation and, being able to demonstrate and show myself but also my boss and future employers that this was something that I was able to achieve and this is the portfolio of skills that I bring to the table and it's been met with a litmus test which is the APR. So for me it was that.
Excellent. Thank you, Ashley. And I will say, to add to that, with the personal validation, my why is being leveling up and career advancement. I love that networking is also on the list because one of the greatest things that I gained through my process of my APR journey was the network of local professionals and relationships that I built, not just those that were also studying for the accreditation exam, but those that were teaching the materials, mentors. I was able to develop those relationships. So all good reasons. And you can obviously see the list goes on and everybody chooses for various reasons. So when you're ready, definitely look into it and get your why confirmed. All right, who is this for? For students graduating with a degree in PR and communications, practitioners with 5+ years in the industry, you can apply once you have 5+ years. And there are exceptions, but that's usually the recommended time frame. We also have accreditation renewal for those that achieve their accreditation. You do have to renew it. Why am I blanking on how many years it is? Every
It's
other year, I feel like every 3 years. Thank you.
Yeah.
On your continuing education units, which something like volunteering for the board, attending local PRSA meetings, helping with communications events, our continuing education units, doing obviously webinars like this, taking classes. Those are all things that can continue your accreditation distinction. And then current APRs as well as APR plus M, just to share, we have a military communications APR, and that is also a part of the group, the accreditation group. So what are the steps in the process? Once you decide why you want to do it, if you are a part of who wants to do it, you would then begin the process in determining where you can plug in with organized study preparation. So we offer in Orlando a full season of study sessions. It starts usually in the spring or in the fall, and we do 8 weeks of study sessions, which covers the entire exam. So that is an example of something that we do in Orlando, but that varies depending on where you are in the country. But once you've completed those study sessions, then you would want to start preparing for your readiness review and portfolio presentation. And that includes a panel that will meet with you. These days, they do it virtually. And the reason I say these days, because I did mine in person when I applied, and I'm sure some of you did that. I see Dr. Lundy nodding her head. I know that varies, but we typically have those virtually, and 3 panelists sit and discuss your campaigns, the process that you studied for, and then to make sure you are ready to take your computer-based examination, which is step number 3 in the process. And that will then come from being approved after your panel presentation. And you will then be tested for your knowledge areas and ethics and communications theory. So all of those things will be covered in the study sessions, and then it's a process from start to finish. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 is here, ready to start. Here are your 4 key steps. Complete your application and accreditation online at PRSA National. Then you want to study and sit for your panel presentation. You want to complete the monitored online exam. And then you want to be an APR, demonstrate your commitment to lifelong learning through your renewals. And this is just a little overview of our PRSA National CEO journey that he recently went through. You can see Matt is moving along the journey, and this is you soon. Matt Marcial, he submitted his application. He did a take 5 with our national UAB chair, Yolanda Stephen. He did his panel presentation as well as a Q&A session, completed his exam, and now he is officially an APR, which is great as he leads the organization into the next chapter. And I'll hand it over to you for preparation.
Very good. Thanks, Lorelei. So if you've made the decision or you've gotten to the point where you're like, yes, I am ready, I am going for it, what are some things that you should keep in mind as you're going through this study process? You guys are in a higher education setting, so you're probably used to studying and getting through exams and all of those wonderful study tactics. Don't think that those are going to be gone when you leave the higher education setting. Hold on to those because that would be very applicable to this process. Effective study strategies that we like to encourage folks to do. There is an official APR study guide. I think if you Google it, it will come up as a PDF. That would be a tremendous resource for anyone who is exploring or considering the APR process, or if you're just curious about what type of subject matter is included, that is available online. So that is something to look at for sure. Collaborative learning is absolutely something that we recommend. You know, we're part of this organization, PRSA, for a reason. One of those reasons is to be able to network and collaborate with peers in the industry and develop relationships with people who we may be working with or seeing out in the community. This whole process is a wonderful chance for you to align yourself with people like you who are maybe in a similar season or maybe even a different season of life, but you're crossing paths at the APR journey. You can definitely relate when you're sitting in that same seat. Trust me, I have lifelong friends who I met along my APR journey. I think Christina actually might be one of those. There's also lots of study resources available to you and expert guidance, including webinars, somewhat like we're doing here today, but there's some that are online, if you're a PRSA member, accessible to you, and others that are on the internet. And then, of course, setting a study schedule. That's something that you guys, I'm sure, do on a regular basis. And then the old school tactics like using flashcards. I know this test does go well beyond memorization and vocabulary and really tests your knowledge and how you apply critical thinking with the public relations lens to certain scenarios. But there are some basic vocabulary questions as well. So it's a mix of both worlds and, you know, going back to the old-fashioned flashcards as well as some of that more scenario-based learning, you have to have both sides of that coin. And as Lorelei mentioned, this is just an example. This isn't necessarily something that's applicable all across the state or the nation, but just as an example, wherever you are based, if you are interested in this process, highly, highly recommend connecting with your local PRSA chapter, Public Relations Society of America chapter, and just exploring what resources they offer. They might do something similar to what we do here in Orlando, which are 8-week sessions where we break down the entire study guide and we have a key presenter, an expert in the field come and talk to that subject matter to help those candidates develop the understanding of the subject matter, but also push their skills, give them scenario-based questions to see if they're feeling like they're ready, and ask real-life questions. What was your panel presentation on? What were some of your takeaways from doing it for the first time? How would you do it differently? So it's that real world connection and collaboration that we're really hoping to instill along with studying the subject matter. So this is just an example of what we do here in Orlando, but highly recommend connecting with your local PRSA chapter to explore what's available to you. Lorelai?
So once you're finished with those study sessions, we want to move on to the readiness review panel. The panel presentation is an opportunity for candidates to demonstrate competence in 12 specific areas of public relations. And I do want to read through them because there are 12 and they are inclusive of all of the things you want to prepare for, including creative conceptualization, creativity, initiative, interpersonal skills, management skills, multitasking, flexibility, time management, uses multiple delivery mechanisms, communication skills in speaking, communication skills in writing and editing, communication skills in listening, as well as presentation skills. All very applicable, all very important, and things that we all do on a daily basis in our public relations profession. So all of those will be a part of your panel presentation. So, what do you need to say for your panel presentation? And before this call today, I was actually doing a quick run through with a candidate who was doing their panel presentation this week. So, one of the areas that we talked about was selecting your topic. You're going to highlight work that you played a leadership role that fits as clearly as possible within the RPI framework. What is RPI? If you're doing accreditation or you're going through the APR journey, you will learn RPI. Research, planning, implementation, and evaluation. That is how you want to build your presentation. So from the topic, which is your campaign or your work that you want to feature, that you played a key role in, you then fill it out through the RPI framework, which includes the presentation, but then also completing your questionnaire. And that is something that, again, you would download online and do. And then it would also feature your campaign as part of that, as well as your background and some information about yourself and how you see the profession of PR right now and into the future. There is a time limit. Presentations are usually around an hour. We do schedule them for approximately 2 hours. It's rare that it does go that long, but we allow time for the panelists to ask questions as well as go through the portfolio and all of the information that you're presenting. The organization, the goal is to relate a professional story to the panelists told through the selected public relations plan, the campaign, which I mentioned, and perhaps a few other portfolio items. Like a case study, the best approach to organizing the presentation is to start at the beginning of the process and take your panelists through the program. So it's really an opportunity for you to present and give your case as to why your knowledge and skills are ready to take the computer-based examination. Details matter. Showing all of the materials. A lot of times that includes your results. It should include your results, but a lot of times you want to show those results at the best results is what I usually say if there are a lot of them. And then you want to master your materials. Part of the scoring for the presentation is all about how you're presenting and speaking. So you want to make sure everything is buttoned up and ready, which is one of the reasons why not only do you have the panel presentation, but you can practice your presentation prior. We call it a mock presentation. So that's something that we do. And that leads me into the next point, as far as scheduling a practice round, a mock presentation with APR contacts like Ashley and myself, and then getting ready for what we call your formal panel presentation and providing that feedback and incorporating it into your presentation.
All right. So come with me here. You've made the decision that you want to pursue your APR. Yes. You've done some of your own studying and preparation, whether it's through your local PRSA chapter or maybe on your own. Yes. You have completed your panel presentation and gotten the approval to move on to the final step, which is the online exam or the examination. Now you're with me. Let's go. So some of the exam questions, this is an online test. I don't think they even offer it in person at some of the testing centers that I think most of us way back when took it at. But it's a virtual setting, computer-based exam. And like I mentioned, they do offer a lot of scenario-based questions. So this isn't, the quick fill in the blank. They are all multiple choice, but there is a blend of scenario-based, real-world questions to test the application of your knowledge for very practical situations and ethical dilemmas too. So You may, if you're sitting in this seat and you read some of the answers, we have some example questions here in just a sec. You might say, well, all of these could be correct, right? But as a PR practitioner who is exhibiting the best practices and ethics and best practice standards, you have to choose the best scenario based on the PRSA framework. So that's where it gets a little tricky. And having at least 5 years experience and knowledge under your belt really helps you apply the experience that you have to these test questions. All right, so we talked about scenario-based questions. Number two, the RPI process. Lorelei, we can't say it enough. RPI, research planning, implementation, and evaluation. I don't know if you were taught that in your classes, but that is absolutely an acronym that helps me on almost a daily basis, like back to basics. I'm in a work situation. I'm like, oh, what do I do? Just go back to that basic foundation. It usually is a helpful trick. So that is a huge portion and focus on the exam, questions that assess your RPI knowledge. Third, communication theory and history. This is a little bit more of the fill in the blank type questions, where they're really looking to make sure you understand the background of the industry, how it started, who were some of those key players, and what are some of the names of the theories that we are bringing as professionals, as counselors to the workplace to be able to share that knowledge with others. And finally, a great tip to round out your knowledge is to review some case studies and of course practice sample questions and sample tests. There are some that are available online, not in full scale, but there are some sample questions, which I have a few for you here today if you want to practice and test your knowledge. All right. Here's an ethics and professional conduct question number one. You learned that a client plans to release a public statement claiming their product has zero environmental impact. You have evidence as the PR practitioner that the product does reduce carbon output but does not eliminate it. What should you do first? Here are the options. A, release the statement as drafted because the client approved it. B, recommend adding qualifiers to ensure the claim is truthful and supported by evidence. C, advise the client that competitors make similar claims and this is normal. Or D, avoid raising concerns unless the media challenges the claim. Anyone bold enough to venture a guess what you would do first in this scenario? I would love it if you came off mute or raised your hand or just put it in the chat what you're thinking.
We have B in the chat by
Okay.
Rolanda and Shannara. Another B by Shannara.
Very good. The answer is B. Congratulations. And the rationale there is that the PRSA Code of Ethics prohibits misleading communication and requires honesty and accuracy. So again, maybe there's a world in which all of these are correct, probably not. But, one might be more correct than the other. You could, in theory, do all of these things, maybe unadvisedly, but if you're judging based on the PRSA Code of Ethics and what you learn on your APR journey, that is the clear answer. Very good. All right. Lorelai, you want to take the next question?
Here is an RPI question for you for research and planning. Your organization wants to increase awareness among residents about a new recycling program. Which of the following should you do first? A, develop key messages about program benefits. B, evaluate recycling participation after the campaign. C, conduct benchmark research on residents' current knowledge and behaviors. Or D, launch a social media awareness push.
What should you do first? What are your thoughts?
We've got a C and a C.
All right, this is a good group, you guys. The answer is C. And the rationale behind that is that effective PR planning begins with situational research to inform its strategies. Very good job. All right, we have a few more. This one is on issues in crisis communication. How many of you deal with crisis communications in your current role? Can I see a hand? I see a no. All right. This may be a little bit tougher, but you still may know the answer. A manufacturing error has caused minor injuries in several customers, and media inquiries are increasing. What is the most appropriate first step? A, wait for complete internal reports before responding. B, release a statement acknowledging the issue and stating the company is investigating. C, tell reporters no information can be shared at this time. Or D, share internal documents before legal reviews. Probably not D. You'll get in big trouble. What are the guesses? What do you guys think? Do we have any answers in the chat? I can't see.
Yes, we have several people who have said B.
Fantastic. A plus, you guys. Yes, the answer is B, and the rationale is early transparent communication aligns with PR best practices and PRSA ethical standards. Well done. Lorelai, you want to take this one? This is too much fun. Oh, I think maybe we lost Lorelai. I'll take this one. Measurement and evaluation. So after a 6-month public health campaign, leadership asked whether it changed community behavior. Which evaluation method is the most appropriate for this scenario? Is it A, counting impressions, B, conducting pre and post campaign behavior surveys, C, tracking social media likes, or D, reviewing staff anecdotes? And if there's answers in the chat, if somebody could tell me, because I can't see the chat.
Yeah, it looks like we have several people said B.
Gosh, I can't get anything by you guys. Yes, the correct answer is B. And the rationale behind that is that behavioral change requires outcome level evaluation, not output metrics. Very good. All right. And I think this is our last one, you guys. From a leadership and public relations management point of view, the question is, your CEO wants to significantly shift company messaging without consulting employees or stakeholders. As a PR leader, what should you recommend? A, move forward immediately. Leadership decisions do not require consultation. Conduct internal listening sessions to understand stakeholder perspectives. C, release the new messages internally without explanation. Or D, delay all communication until employees ask questions. What would you say?
We have several answers B in the chat.
I think this group might be ready to pursue their APR. Yes, the correct answer is B. Thank you guys for humoring us with going through some of those questions, but you can see it's not as easy as a fill in the blank. You really have to stop and think, what would I do if I were in this scenario? And in some cases, it might be how you would apply it within your current situation and work setting. In other ways, it may say, what does the book say? If we go by the book, if we go by PRSA guidelines and code of ethics and the study guide, what would the answer be? So that's always what it's looking for. Lorelai, do I have you back? We're just going to keep on chugging on, guys. So we've reviewed a lot of ways to review information and set yourself up for success in studying for your APR journey. We would always recommend, number one, that study guide that is released by PRSA and the Universal Accreditation Board. That is kind of like the North Star when it comes to what content is going to be covered on that exam. There are online courses, webinars. There are some that are paid that are pretty extensive. I haven't sat through those, but I understand that they cover a lot of content. There are also some free resources as well if you don't want to put forward the cost, but whatever works for you. You know your study methods best. You know how you learn best. So I would encourage you all, if you're considering this, connect with your local PRSA chapter and just explore what resources are available and fill in the blank from there. There's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of opportunities to continue learning out there. You just kind of have to feel out what works best for you and your schedule and the way that you learn. There are sample questions and quizzes. Oops, I went too soon. Sorry. There are sample questions and quizzes, and like we mentioned before, those old school flashcards. Someone in our sessions the last go around was using AI to quiz her on APR questions, so I thought that was kind of a cool new way to explore different topics and study. So whatever works for you, group setting, individually pacing yourself on your own, partnering with your local PRSA chapter. There's lots of help for you out there if this is something that you decide you want to pursue. And because it is, want to go in eyes wide open for sure, pricing and timing to submit your APR application, it is currently, as of July 1, $495 for PRSA members and $750 for non-members. So think about that as if you're ready to take this plunge and jump in and you want to pursue your APR certification. The resources that are available to you, whether you are already a PRSA member or not, you may want to take that into consideration. Once you apply and submit your application, you have 1 year, 1 calendar year from the application to complete all of the steps. Sometimes we work with candidates who are rushing a little bit there at the end to make that happen and scoot in over that 1 year finish line. So we always recommend to candidates who are considering this, they want to do the study sessions, maybe they want to take a little bit of time to really steep themselves in the content and the knowledge before they apply. Allow a 12 to 18 month window. If you're really seriously considering this, allow that kind of time span to comfortably get through a study session or take some time to study, apply, get accepted, and then go through those next steps that we mentioned, the panel presentation and sitting for the online exam in the 12 months. So that is what we recommend to people as they're exploring or, thinking about taking the next step. All right. And not knowing exactly where everyone is sitting on this webinar here today, this is a quick look at who we know to be the APR or at least the PRSA representatives in different areas across the Sunshine District in Florida. So hopefully you see your geography reflected there. If not, let me know. And Lorelai and myself would be happy to be a conduit for you to continue to explore and see what might be the best fit for you in the geography that you are in and the stage of your career and life that you're in. So I think that will do it. Lorelai, I'm going to check on you. Are you back and able to close us out here? Think she stumbled upon some technical difficulties, guys. So I think with that, I will turn it back over to our host and thank you all very much for the opportunity to share.
Thank you. This has been fantastic. And we can share more about our experiences if you all would like, but I really would like to open it up for anybody that has questions about anything that we've shared so far today. Annabelle?
Hi guys, so I'm actually the marketing and communications specialist for the Pi Center, and this was so informative and I loved it. And I actually ended up joining the PRSA chapter in Orlando just because we don't have because we don't have one in Gainesville, and that's where I'm stationed. But I am curious on when in your careers did you guys decide that the APR was like right for you and you had enough like knowledge and experience behind your belt to kind of move forward with that accreditation?
Yeah, that's a great question. Lisa, do you want to go first with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll share, Annabelle. I actually, as soon as I hit the 5 year mark, I went ahead and pursued it. And so thinking about where you are in your career, I really think moving forward as soon as you feel ready would make a lot of sense. Mostly because I think going through all of these steps that you heard about today with the readiness review and the exam, it's kind of like some of the things that you did in your graduate program. It really helps just reaffirm to you how much you actually do know. And I think it builds a lot of confidence in your work to present your work to a panel and have them see what you've done. And then also just taking the exam, really. I mean, you all saw today, you knew the answers because you've been doing the work, but we don't a lot of times in our day-to-day work step back and say, how much do I know about what I'm doing? It kind of gives you a chance to do that.
I could not agree more. Absolutely. Yes. And I absolutely started right at the 5 year mark as well. Um, and looking back, I'm really glad that I took that step when I did, maybe in theory earlier in the career. Because I think I was closer to, the rhythm of studying coming out of graduate school and things like that. You're not out of that groove too far yet. And it was so validating to feel like the work that I had been doing in my career so far aligned with these principles, and it gave me confidence to move forward in the way that I chose to in my career. On the flip side, we are working with folks who are decades into their career and just never really pause to invest in the time to make this happen. That is perfectly fine too if you're coming from that point of view. I think the challenge there is one, getting back into the groove of studying and flashcards and taking an online test that might feel a little foreign to someone who's been in the workforce for decades. But you have so much experience to pull from for that panel presentation. It almost makes it harder. But in both scenarios, there's pros and there's cons, but you know you and you know when you feel ready to take on a challenge like this.
That's
Shanara,
awesome.
I see your hand up.
Sorry, go ahead.
No problem.
Oh, sorry,
Uh,
Renee.
oh, I am Shanara. I am a PhD student in agricultural communication here at the University of Florida. And I have two questions. One is related to the association and the test. So, do you recommend me to become an associate when I start to think about being like take the test so 1 year before? So this is one question, and also like when should I pay to register for the test? It's 1 year before, or just when I'm gonna take the in-person test? This is one part of question. The another question is regarding the job market. How do you feel this APR differentiate you all in the job marketing when you are going to apply for positions? Thank you.
What very good question, Shanara. Thank you so much for asking. Lorelai, I see that you're back, and I would love your perspective on this as well. So, in terms of timing, I would say join PRSA or a local chapter as soon as you can, really. I mean, depending on, your location and your geography, it is a tremendous way to align with other communications professionals, to network, to build relationships, to learn new things together, get to know people in your community. Like, I can't say that enough. So, if you're hungry for that and wanting to connect with other communications professionals, do that as soon as you can. Um, but having those relationships established, getting to know some of the people who are leading the effort in your local community, I think would help you on your APR journey whenever you decide that you're ready to do that. Because, folks like Lorelai and myself, we volunteer for this because we're passionate about it and we want to see people continue to learn and grow in their careers. And this APR accreditation absolutely validates that, but knowing you, it helps. So I'm all about relationships and relationship building. So for me, I would recommend as soon as you can, get involved, get engaged. You never know what kind of opportunities are going to present themselves to you. Lorelai?
Yeah, and I would say in terms of timing, you talked about when should you pay, for example, the application fee to start that. And one of the recommended ways is you want to engage with PRSA, as Ashley said, become a member. You want to then connect with the APR cohort or the study group, if there is a study group. And then you want to start studying and looking at the questionnaire and preparing. Once you have the question, once you're ready to do the questionnaire and you're also about to take your panel presentation or present your panel presentation, that's when I would say I recommend you then pay the application fee. And why do I recommend that? Because once you pay that application fee, you have 12 months to complete it. So you may want to do your panel presentation, get the okay to take the exam, and then study. And that may take you one round of study sessions or an online course or 6 months, or maybe something comes up in your life and you have to take a little bit longer to get prepared for the computer-based examination. But you want to give yourself as much lead time to take that exam because there is preparation around getting ready for it. So just my recommendation to most of our candidates is to do it that way. Are there exceptions? Absolutely. We've had people do their panel presentation and within the same week take their exam. It can happen. It's not my recommendation, but it can happen. But you, again, this is very personalized and you kind of go in the direction that you know you're comfortable with. So take each step, though, very seriously because it helps you keep moving forward to that goal of APR. And then I think the third question was around job opportunities. And I definitely see this as being a differentiator, something that you should include on your resume, include on your LinkedIn profile, and discuss with future employers. So highly recommend keeping that out there.
And I'll just add to that on the job front. My last two jobs, I wouldn't have been able to achieve without the APR. My current organization, the seat was held by an APR, and she was looking for an APR to fill it when she retired. My prior organization, same thing. An APR sat in the position I was interviewing for, and she was adamant that they only hire an APR. I mean, again, it signals that strategy, leading with ethics first, and understanding that PR and communications is an essential management function. And for me, and I think others would probably feel the same, is earning my APR was really the start of the shift from being a tactician into a business advisor. I feel like some days I don't even do communications. It is more advising the business. And that's a really great place to be. That is where we should be. Because I think that's when the value of PR and communications really starts to shine within an organization, when it rises to that level, when it is at the C-suite or at the table. One other thing that I do want to kind of put this into that agriculture lens. Agriculture tends to work in a silo. That's just my experience. I haven't always been in ag. I've been in this role for the last almost 6 years and was doing something completely different with a variety of clients in different industries before this. And it is so easy to get sucked in to that bubble to where you can't fully see the big picture of what's happening in the industry as a whole, in other industries, how they communicate, what can we learn from them and bring into our industry. And sometimes agriculture faces a bit of a credibility issue. We get attacked a lot in the media on a variety of different things. And, having that APR definitely adds credibility to the communications function within the organization, and it only elevates the work that we are doing. It makes it just a reminder of how intentional and strategic we are, we can be, we should be. So there's really not a reason to say that like this industry should have APR professionals. This industry, I mean, all the communications professionals, I think, should strive to achieve this credential. But I really do think that it is more important than ever for those within the industry, for those within agriculture, to pursue this credential because of what it will mean to other organizations, to what it will mean to potential employers. And I can't say enough about what it might do for your career, but also your organization and agriculture as a whole down the line.
Great response, Christina.
Yeah. As I was listening to you talk, Christina, I was thinking our undergraduate program in our department at the University of Florida is the specialization is actually called communication and leadership development. So we have a blend of communication and leadership classes. And sometimes we tell students those communication skills classes are going to get you your first job in the industry, but the leadership classes are what will help you advance. And I think that shift between, like you said, between being the technician, the person who might be, you know, helping with a lot of the output of communications to being the advisor or the one that maybe pushes back on things a little bit and shapes the messaging. I think earning this accreditation when you're in the process of making that shift or when you've made that shift is really sets you up to navigate your career well. There's a lot of good information in the chat in addition to what you see on the screen, different chapters and different contact information for the different regions and different districts for PRSA.
And I'll say one more thing just to clarify, even though we love PRSA, we're PRSA heavy here. There are several participating organizations within the Universal Accreditation Board. PRSA is the giant in the room that kind of runs the day-to-day operations of that organization, but FPRA is a part of that. There's an association of Puerto Rico. There are even materials available in Spanish if you know counterparts who might benefit from going through this process and be having Spanish materials accessible to them. That is already available and work is already happening to get the test translated into Spanish. So I'm really excited about that. But there are several other organizations. There's even like a National School Public Relations Association that you could get this credential through. So would love for you to do it through PRSA, but just wanted to share that there are some other groups that you could be a member of and still get this credential.
Yeah, and I'll just add before I turn it back over to Dr. Telg to wrap us up. Part of the reason we really wanted to go ahead and do this webinar now is because we know some of you may be working on a fiscal year calendar and thinking about professional development funds. And so we wanted to be able to help you make the argument for asking for support to do a credential like this. So the recording of this is going to be available if this is something you could share, but I know I'm happy to share with employers if anybody wants to reach out how beneficial the experience has been. So feel free to reach out if you need help making that argument.
And Ashley, you shared the costs on that slide, but those costs are as of July 1, right? If they were
Yes.
to apply and feel like they really could complete within a year, it actually is a little bit cheaper.
Before July, yeah, there is a price increase. What you saw on the screen is reflective of that moving forward. But if you are, ready to rock and roll, we do have I think it's $385 for members to apply and it's still, I think, 745 for non-members before July. So there is about $100 price difference-ish for members before July 1, and it's about the same for non-members before July 1.
All right, well, I'm going to turn it back over to Ricky Tell to wrap
Okay.
us up, and thank you for everyone for your participation today.
Sure. Well, thank you all very much for this presentation. This is, again, one of many that we do here in the Pi Center, our lunch and learn process, usually over, well, lunchtime, of course. This one, of course, on APR, and so glad to have our presenters today. Please note that as a participant today, you will be receiving very soon an evaluation of this particular presentation. So we would love to hear your thoughts, and particularly any questions that may have come up that you didn't have a chance to put in the chat or to voice to our presenters. We would be happy to share that along the way as well. If you know of others who are interested in this topic, this has been recorded, and once we have it ready to be posted and edited, we'll be sharing this link to you as a participant as well. So please feel free to forward the video link, once it's done, to others who are interested in pursuing this as a potential part of their career choice overall. So again, thank you to our presenters and facilitator, Lisa. With that, I'm going to close this out. Have a great day. Bye.